What's going on, guys, and happy Friday. So don't forget to check the community tab if you're wanting to see our fifth and final budget deck list for budget week. I wanted to bring to you this video instead, so we moved a couple of those videos into image form, and they're in our community tab. Again, go check that out if you're interested in those budget decks. But today, this is a deck that I took to a case tournament. Just over a week ago. We came in first place. We got half of a case, so we got 2 boxes of first chapter. I got one. Can't really see it, but we got it sitting up on our shelf up here under our Dark Magician Girl statue from Yu-Gi-Oh! When we formerly played. But we opened the other box, and if you guys want, I do still have that opening. I recorded it just in case. I don't know how much you guys really care about openings for this channel, though, so I didn't plan on releasing it. We just do that in case something crazy happens. However, we determined, based a little eeny, meeny, miny, mo, which one we were going to open, and we picked right. We got Tinkerbell Giant Fairy. Maybe, just maybe, this card ends up in one of our Patreon giveaways. Information for all of that down below. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Your contributions directly go back into giveaways on the channel. So yeah, today this was my first place Amethyst Emerald Tempo list. It's more aggro than a lot of them, but it's not like full-on aggro like some other lists are. We're going to kind of go through choices one at a time, or close to one at a time. We played 9 1-drops, 22s and 23s, so really heavy there. A few 4s, and then we had some 6s and 7s. 15 uninkable cards, so about 25%. You see the deck cost coming in at just over $200, so not too bad, but also not the greatest. Our 9 1-drops, we're playing our Chernobog Followers, if we can get her. There we go. We were playing our Chernobog Followers, and we played this card because it's, instead of Rafiki, I was testing Rafiki for quite a while, and we went with this instead because the Challenger status is nice, but a lot of the time your opponent can play or get around it or make you just use it when it's not necessarily the greatest. Being a 2-1 means you can still take out some threats, but it's going to die to just about anything aside from like a Cursed Merfolk or a Pluto. However, being able to quest and draw a card early is also very nice. Then our other ones, we had our Maleficent, who this card, I can't necessarily say this card put in a ton of work, but she did in a way. And she did because we already were going to play 4 Merfolk no matter what. And playing 2 more copies of Maleficent gave us 6 multi-questing 1-drops. And we had a mirror match that actually was the reason we ended up winning it. What were my other matchups? There was 2 red blues, a mirror, one kind of janky weird deck, and then we went into top 4 and I played 2 Steel Song decks. It was a lot of fun. Not really anything too crazy happened. Idea was kind of get really aggressive early, and then versus like Steel Song, if I couldn't rip the grab your swords out of their hand, I would try to like hold some cards back in my hand, just because grab your swords would just board wipe me, so I could recover from it afterwards. But if you could at least prevent that until like a turn 4, you could potentially be at like 10 to like 14 lore before they actually dropped it on you, and then you kind of just place your shots a little more effectively to close out that game. Your Madam Mim Snake is one of the ways you help protect your cards, bounce them, play them again a little later when it's safe. The 3/3 obviously allowing you to take out opponents' threats as well, which was really nice. Not too much to say about that. We did put in 2 Pinocchio Star Attractions for this time around too. Like I said, we wanted to get a bit more aggressive. I felt like it was a good call for the event I was going to. A lot of item decks, a lot of like ramp decks where they kind of take 2, 3, 4 turns to really get rolling. So by turn like 3 or 4, like almost every game I could be between like 8 and 15 lore. Like you're just too far ahead that you just coast to the win at that point. We were playing Pua on some old lists. We ended up going with Enchantress. Pua's 1 willpower really didn't, or sorry, 2 willpower versus the 1 really didn't change anything. Most damage songs and stuff like that do to 2 multiple anyway. A lot of characters, not too many of them in the meta have just one strength either. So Pua's 2 willpower didn't matter too much, but Enchantress getting +2 strength when she's challenged was helping her at least trade and take down the cards that were taking her down with it. So for that reason, we played her. Flynn, not too much to say about him. Just another good aggro card. Quest for 2, like Merfolk, they discard to take him out. Ursula also, like, this card, you don't necessarily play her on turn 2. It depends on your matchup. And versus like Steel Song, if you play her, say, turn 2, if they went for Queen, because they might be coming back with like a whole new world when they shift Big Queen next turn. If they go Cinderella 2, you could drop this card. Otherwise, like Ruby Amethyst, I usually don't play this card until like turn 3 or 4, because a lot of time they'll try and get like their 3 drop out, and then they'll use that card to sing the friends on the other side. So I'll try to like hold Ursula until turn like 3 or 4, and be a little more efficient with her and go wide in my earlier turns. And then we obviously get into our Mim Merlin guys. We got the 4 foxes, 2 crabs. Not too much for locations, but sometimes like when they drop a Maui, you don't want Maui to stick around for like 4 turns and just take out all of your aggro cards. So being able to drop a Merlin and then even boosting like one of your aggro cards to 4 strength to finish off that Maui. Sure, you lose it, but if you don't do that, you're going to lose way more. So Merlin Crab, just to boost to take out those bigger threats, was really important. Obviously, your Ursula, Deceiver of All, because we do have songs here. We like to draw 4. That's pretty self-explanatory. And even just the fact, too, that she really forces your opponent to decide, like, are they going to go after your aggro cards, or are they going to come after your song engine? Because her singing 4 is just very threatening, and it forces an answer from your opponent pretty much right away. Playing 4 Goat, just not too much to say about him. I didn't play Rabbit in this list. I didn't play it in this color combination actually for a little bit now, and I really didn't miss it too much. I mean, you got Chernobog as a draw 1. You got revealing everything. Friends on the other side to draw. You got Castle to draw. So I mean, we have other ways to draw. We have Yzma too, who can net us some draws. Yzma, a lot of the time I actually end up shuffling back my own cards, but in a pinch, if you really need her to, she can get rid of something like a Cinderella Stout-Hearted from your opponent's side of the board. And then obviously your opponent draws 2, so a lot of time that's why I prefer to hit my own cards, just to draw 2 to keep up my resources, get that big card on board. This guy actually won me 2 games just because like you get to that like 10 to 14 lore point, like I said, and then you kind of coast into like that high teens mark, and then like late game, like, oh, you got hit by Be Prepared, especially because like Lady Tremaine's less popular now, but like Madame Medusa is very popular, but that card doesn't get rid of the Daydreamer. So like you get hit by Be Prepared, and especially if you can put down like a 1-drop with your Robin Hood, just in case they have that Lady Tremaine, you put down the 1-drop and your Robin Hood, and then if they Medusa you or they Tremaine you, either way, you Medusa can't hit him, and Tremaine would hit the. You would just choose to banish your weaker target, and then he can quest for 4 and just close out the games. It came up in multiple games, and I really liked it. Ursula also came up too in the Steel Song matchup, because like late game, pretty much the same thing as Robin Hood. When you're just trying to close out that game and finish those last few lore, coming down, taking a lore away from your opponent is always a good thing. Not going to hurt, it's something you're always happy to do. But drawing a card is really nice too. And then the 8 willpower is her huge saving grace, because things like that, what song would they have to sing? Potentially a Strength of the Raging Fire or Along Came Zeus, and sing those type of songs to damage her, and then also use like a Cinderella Stout-Hearted to attack her, since you'd be readied and you sang a song, would be like their only way to out this card, aside from like Smash plus Zeus, or like they need multiple cards though to deal with her. Otherwise you're getting that 3 lore and possibly even more, unless they crash multiple cards into her. So just closing out games, she was really good. Um, Last ditch effort too. This card, in theory, was good, and in testing, it was. I don't necessarily want to say great, but it kind of was. Like the idea here, instead of Pinocchio talkative puppet, is anything takes out an Ariel or an Ursula. Then turn 3, so they play their Ariel or their Ursula, and obviously it's ready. Your talkative puppet would then exert it, and you could use like your snake to take them out because they have 3 willpower. But what if you didn't have Snake turn 2? Last Ditch giving a 2 buff to whatever you play on turn 2 or your turn 1 card means that you're for sure taking out that Ariel or that Ursula on turn 3 before they can sing their song on turn 4 and generate all their advantage. In addition, another thing, this also came up in Steel Song. You can say if you have Mim Fox on board, who obviously has 4 strength, and your opponent plays a sad beast, you can then last ditch the sad beast, exert it, go to 6 with your Mim Fox, and then you can clean take out the beast before they get to draw anything off of it, and then they don't just have that 7 beater on their turn either. So working to take out Sad Beast and Ariel before your opponent can actually do anything with them in the Steel Song matchup was just so key, and it was really, really put in the work. So we're getting pretty close to the end. No gameplay again. I was going to do physical cards with this, but I was going to play this deck for my set championships, and yesterday being Wednesday, 'cause recording this Thursday, playing it for you guys Friday, Wednesday of this week, I completely changed. We're playing Amethyst Steel instead, and that list will be up. Hopefully after the weekend, we'll do really good with it, and I'll show it off. But so I figured I might as well show this deck now since it's not going to be a secret anymore. Has set my heart here. A lot of time this was ink, but the idea with this, with Ruby Sapphire being so popular and Sapphire Steel also gaining traction, you can hit that quill right away. Obviously, they're going to be able to ramp once with it, but the turn they play it. But then you can go ahead and use this song, whether you hardcast it or sing it. Like you play Ursula, you can see their hand, hit a song if they have one. They play their item, and then you can set my heart and take out that item on turn 3 or even turn 2. But you can do it before Hiram comes out and gets to destroy the card to then draw 2, obviously. So you stop that draw engine potentially. And if your Ursula Deceiver of All sings this, you can actually hit like double items. So let's say they open their curve, their playline, right? They come out Popsicle turn 1. By turn 3, they go into their Fishbone Quill. So you know that Hiram Flaversham is coming down turn 4. But you have, like, obviously this would be if you went first, because your turn 3, you play your Ursula. And then turn 4, Ursula sings this song. You can banish both the Quill and the Popsicle, which essentially means that Hiram isn't drawing anything, and you just completely halted their deck in its tracks. I don't think it's a bad matchup. That's why we're only playing 2, because I think just getting really aggressive early helps enough in that matchup anyway. But this song comes up. I didn't get to double sing it against them at all, but I did play it on a Fishbone Quill and really slowed him down. Like I said, he still got the draw because he had a Popsicle, but like stopping the ramp after only 1 use, and also just he didn't have a second item, so he, instead of drawing 4 after 2 turns, he only got to draw the 2 initially. We did play Sudden Chill too. Like I said, we're kind of going aggro, but at the same time, I wanted to hit on multiple fronts, so we attacked their hand with Sudden Chill. I'd probably cut this. It underperformed, and I saw it at like weird times late game, which is the reason I don't like certain cards, and this card kind of fell into that category, so I'd probably cut it. But it was kind of nice just to, like I said, attack them in different fronts, whether it's challenging their board, questing, or hitting their hand. Friends on the other side, you don't need to say a whole lot. Drawing 2 to 4 is just really, really good. Sorcerer's Spellbook. We played 2 of this card. I played it at 1 at locals a few times, did really well with it, and I know item removal is a little more popular now, so it's not quite as good, but getting out like 2 spellbooks, and that just puts so much pressure on your opponent, especially if they don't play removal. It didn't come up too much this time around, but like I said, last couple tournaments I went into, I was running 1 of this, and especially in the mirror match, it just puts in so much work. And going back to the item removal here, I know There's the, what is it, Wildcat, the 3 cost. You play him on turn 3, which means you can't exert him until turn 4. And usually by turn 4, unless you went first, I guess, you could hit that Fishbone Quill. Like, you're just going to be a turn behind, and there's a chance that your opponent's going to ramp twice and draw 2 cards. And I know he's evasive, and he sticks around, and he can hit multiple cards, so there's good reason for him. I just don't think the item decks are bad matchups, and I felt that this card hitting them possibly turn 2 was more important than waiting until turn 4. Because even like Lucky Dime, they're gonna like use it right away a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And they're gaining value out of it before you can really answer it. And then lastly, we played 2 Queen's Castles, just a passive way to gain lore, put a pressure on your opponent, draw cards, and yeah. So this was the list that we won those boxes with. Somehow we opened the right box. Got some pretty good legendary pulls too. Our rare, well, I can't even talk. So I used to Yu-Gi-Oh terms with super rare. Our cold foil legendary we got was Gantu, which I'll take it. It's for the collection, but could have been better. But at the same time, we got our enchanted Tinkerbell, so that was amazing. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe.